They can try in the Trump, campaign to deny the polls. You can do that. But as of right now, it is looking like his performance over the past few months is going to cause damage to him, but also to other Republicans. Yesterday, the Cook Political Report, so this is a nonpartisan organization that tries to do projections based on polling and other analysis to figure out what's going to happen in an election. They moved their outlook to a net gain of 5 to 7 Senate seats for the Democrats, and now says Democrats are slightly favored to win the Senate majority. They also shifted their outlook for 20 House races towards Democrats last week, signaling that Democrats stand to widen their lead in the House. And they currently forecast that President Trump's troubles could affect Republicans down the ballot, calling the incumbent president the, quote, decided underdog against former Vice President Joe Biden. So as his polling goes down, that is going to start to have an effect, possibly in changing people's minds, but also possibly in not enthusing them to come out and vote in the first place. And that is not going to just have sort of an abstract effect. It's going to affect potentially specific people like Martha McSally, whose race has now gone from a toss-up to leaning Democratic. Joni Ernst, David Perdue, Tina Smith, and the open race in New Mexico as well have all shifted. Some were likely Democrat and now are considered solid, and you have a couple of additional toss-ups as well. So this is not a guarantee that the Democrats are going to win the Senate, especially considering we have 101 days until the election. But it is looking better for them, probably in no small part thanks to the mismanagement of 2 simultaneous domestic crises by the president.
Yeah, 2 simultaneous domestic crises, or one ongoing enormous domestic and international crisis. Yeah, that's. I would say first, I've never heard of Cook Political Report, so remember that. I'm gonna do things that are like remember to actually vote.
They've been around for a long time.
I know, but okay. So that's the least important part. I would also say that in the meantime, seeing this information does not mean that it will actually come to fruition. And there's 2 key factors behind why you need to actually follow through on stuff. And I'm talking to everyone in America. One, there is still time for everyone to do what they need to do to make coronavirus be less of a thing. And it seems like in canceling the in-person Republican National Convention, and there are multiple governors who have broken with Trump's suggestions and either said they are putting stay-at-home orders in place or are have already actively made that happen. So Ohio, Texas, Utah, Arkansas, Alabama have all been in that category I just mentioned. And so if that happens, this is the kind of thing that the same way people were saying if the economy fails due to coronavirus, but then it's over and then folks start rehiring, he gets to say, oh my God, there was a giant jump. We have to remember what a terrible captain of the ship he was. He ran us into the iceberg. And if we're all floating ashore on dinghies afterwards, we still can't absolve him of responsibility.
Yeah.
And the other thing is simultaneously, Mitch McConnell is actively defunding any assistance that might go toward helping people vote. And as we saw in Kentucky, his own state, the last minute, they closed all but one polling place. And we all remember the images of people outside saying, please let me vote in the lead up to that Senate, or in that day when they were voting in the Senate primary.
Yeah, and related, I saw that I think it was an internal Republican document about the ongoing negotiations for the next round of stimulus. They had down for election assistance $0 with a note saying, expect the Democrats to push for more. So, and look, Donald Trump, okay, I'm going to say this. Nobody tell him. This is just between all of us. Don't tell him. If he wants to win the election, do you know what he could do? What? He could do an about face and actually deal with the pandemic. Because it turns out that when you poll people, their view of how you've handled a crisis is correlated with how it's affecting your state. Take a look at these polls. As Arizona, Florida, Georgia, and Texas have been overcome with cases, the approval of the governor's handling of it has gotten worse. So people got sick, and then the people got mad at the governor because so many people were getting sick. Now that's just state data, but I believe that you can extrapolate to the country at large. And if you do a better job and less people get sick and die, they'll think, hey, he didn't kill as many of us. That's good. And maybe you could get reelected. Crazy,
the Republicans are driving down voter like turnout in every possible way, either by defunding the ability to do it or closing polling places, or just killing people.
Yeah.
Just making fewer voters.
Exactly.
Good for them. That was their goal, so they did accomplish it. But this is absolutely it. Everyone, and that's the thing, is there's more people as a result of social media know what's going on in politics. But do they fully understand what's going on in every possible way? Does it ever change their opinion, what they do see? Not really. But something like this is big enough where people just go, "Oh my God, the president's an idiot."
Yeah. And his
whether
idiocy isn't a joke; it's dangerous.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.